And Kurt Bardella, creator and publisher of daily country music newsletter, The Morning Hangover. Kurt, woke up this morning, I could not believe the news. And I got together with my producers and I really said, he was kind of that old guard, right, of the 90s. I kind of lump him in with the Blake Sheltons of the world. Garth Brooks, your thoughts this morning, your top line takeaways with Toby's passing.
Yeah, he's one of those, artists who, carried that torch in 90s country, which if you listen to any modern day country music artist, they speak with so much reverence about 90s country. There's something about that group of artists like Garth, like an Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, and Toby Keith is absolutely a part of that crop of artists that had so much influence on so many of the artists that we hear about now. And when I heard the news this morning, it was when one of your producers called me at like 3:30 in the morning to tell me. I was legitimately shocked because he just like a week ago filmed for CMT an upcoming tribute to the amazing legendary group Alabama. This wasn't someone who was hiding out and was in obscurity. He had just successfully battled stomach cancer. He just did a Vegas residency at the end of last year. In December, he was getting back out there very visibly, very publicly. And so to wake up and hear the news that after this fight with cancer, where we kind of thought he was in the clear and gearing up to go back out on tour this year, that he had passed, it was actually really shocking.
Yeah, and same for me. I'm an Oklahoman, and his voice has always sounded like home for me. That was, my childhood, my carpooling days early on. It will never be this. Country music will just never be the same as it once was in the 90s, right? There was a simplicity to it, and Toby Keith's songs were, they were all American, about the good stuff in life. Are those days gone for country music, Kurt?
I hope that they're not. And I see certain artists who I think kind of have a little bit of that swagger that are starting to break through now. And even like an artist that we saw earn a lot of headlines the other night, Luke Combs, he's cut from that same cloth. When you listen to a Luke Combs song and the type of country music artist he is, it is kind of a throwback, that style of music. And I think that there is absolutely an appetite from the country music community for a return to that type of music. It got a little poppy, at one point. Not that I have anything against pop music, but country got a little, pop centric for a while here in the 2010s, particularly. But I do think that there is a return to that more traditional country music sound, even country rock, some might call it. And certainly Toby embodied all of that.
Yeah, you and I would agree. I like a lot of the new stuff. It's just different. There's a feel that is missing. That you don't get that you got when you listen to Toby Keith. Toby, he was a mainstay in his hometown of Moore, Oklahoma. He remained an active member in that community all the way up into his death. I mean, he went to every Friday night home football game, at Moore High School when he was home. There's not an Oklahoman who hasn't eaten at Toby Keith's Bar and Grill, in the Oklahoma City area. What does his death mean for folks in the heartland and his fans who are grieving alongside his loved ones this morning?
Well, this morning, they're mourning the loss of a true icon. And I think one of the reasons why country music is so popular is because of the authenticity of the artists. And they live the life that they sing about. The fact that someone who became as 20 number ones, as famous and celebrated as Toby Keith, still stuck true to those Oklahoma roots, still lived in that community, still partook in those community rituals. That's why people love country music so much. He didn't go Hollywood. He didn't go and sell out and move to one of the coasts. He stayed true to who he was, to his upbringing. And that's why there's so much connectivity. And this is something that, just politically speaking, the people on the coast, the so-called elites, this is what they miss about the country music community and the country music fans, is that there is that connection to these artists, because these are the artists that they see in the grocery store, they see at the local high school or college football game, they see in their community. They've never left it, no matter how big and successful they've gotten. And that was Toby Keith right there.
Yeah, he just became, one of us, when you saw him around town. And I think that's refreshing for a lot of people who have risen to the highest echelons of artistry as he had. Lastly for you, Kurt, he had so many hits, from Beers for My Horses to I Want to Talk About Me, which is so good. And I think every man probably plays that at some point as like an anthem song. I know you'll be blasting some of his music on your radio today. Any favorites for you when it comes to Toby Keith?
Yeah, I love Red Solo Cup.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.